I was 18 years old, a struggling actor. I wanted to be an actor. I was like much heavier at the time and had this huge afro you see in the film, and was going out for character parts. Hadn't yet gotten a professional role, although I was acting in high school and studied acting and really wanted to be an actor. And I had this job handing out tickets to screenings for a research group. So I was in Westwood handing out tickets to a screening of Road Warrior before it opened. And it's a Saturday night, and I'm just doing my thing, and these two people come up to me, a man and a woman, and they go, "Excuse me, are you an actor?" And that's just not a question I get every day, and I go, "Yeah, I'm an actor." And they go, "Well, we wrote a movie, and we think you'd be perfect for it." So, and that was Martin Kittresser and Carol Watson, who wrote the movie, and they walked around and saw me and said, that's Shelley. That's the guy who we're thinking of. I mean, I was heavy with the fro, and that was it. And so I gave him I had an agent. I gave him the number of my agent. A couple days later, I got a call, and they said, go down and audition. And I had to audition for the part, but in the end, that's how I got it. I mean, I was just in the right place at the right time, and I seemed I was exactly what they had pictured in their head. So a real Lana Turner Hollywood story on getting that part.
Nice makeup job. Stop fooling around, man.
Hi, I'm Jason Voorhees, victim number 54. At the time, I think I was working in Buechler's shop. I was a coordinator for him for many years. He and I worked in Italy for a long time, and when I heard that he was doing the film, I flipped out. I was a huge fan of the franchise. I had seen part one at the drive-in when I was in high school, and I begged Buechler. I said, I'll do double duty, I'll do anything, let me come in. So at the time, there wasn't really a part for me, and I remember there was like a rock and roller part, and Buechler's like, this is a stretch, but I'm gonna give you your break. This guy Michael, it's his birthday, he's a rocker, you can come in and read. And I was like, I can do this, you know. I had no idea what I was doing. And I went in and I auditioned, and when they audition you for a Friday the 13th film, you don't really get a whole lot of lines. It's mostly you in an office with like a group of like 8 people eating like ham sandwiches, and they're like, okay, he's coming after you, he's stalking you, you're backing up, he's coming after you, he's killing you, and you do it over and over and over again. And I guess I just looked good with an axe in my face because I ended up getting the part.
Actually, the audition script was called Birthday Bash because they didn't want fans surrounding the audition. I guess is kind of what I was told through my agent. So when we were reading it at home, I was like, well, this seems kind of like just a stabbing movie or something. And then someone else read it with me and goes, that's Friday the 13th, you're going. I'm like, you think? And he's like, you're going. So I thought it was cool when I got there, and I'm like, is this Friday the 13th? And they're like, yes.
Jason Voorhees.
I auditioned for this after they'd been casting for weeks.
I'm Steve Christie.
Jack Bernard.
Hey, Marcy. This is Marcy.
I'm Ned Rubenstein.
Welcome to Camp Crystal Lake.
Thank you.
This is Alice.
Hi. Steve, cabin B's all ready.
Friends of friends of friends got me into the audition, and the audition process was over probably a month to 6 weeks long. Callback after callback after callback, and then 2 screen tests. When I finally got it, it was magical.
When I showed up on the set, it was like, don't forget, there's been a few Friday the 13th movies. And in the interim, I had done Dawn of the Dead, which was the ultimate effects movie going on at the time. Maybe even Day of the Dead, I'm not quite sure. I had chronological memory. But so as soon as I got there, the kids were coming up. How am I going to die, you know? Well, what character are you playing? Well, here's what we have planned. And the juicier the death, the better. I mean, they just wanted to die in the most glorious ways, you know? Because that to them is like their fame, you know? So, But the kids were great. I mean, nobody was a problem. Everybody, if we had to cast their heads or cast their body, great. If it means I'm gonna have this big bloody death, the better.
Ted, hey, Ted, where the hell's Corkscrew?
They're all very, very anxious to know how they would get offed, and they all have the strangest reactions to seeing it on film. I mean, it is very difficult. It's very peculiar because you think they know precisely how it's done. They put on the prosthetic pieces and they were there during all of it. But watching their death scene and their post-death scenes, very, very hard on some of them.
The only thing I kept telling the writer was I kept saying, can we have a love scene? Can we get a love scene going on, me and Vera? Because, you know, I'm always trying to get her, and she's always pushing me away. I'm like, we really need that scene. And he's like, no. So that's where my head was at the time, not how I died. Vera, I was thinking that maybe, you know, we could.
I don't think so. When I wake up from Bill, my nightmare, Bill, where's Bill? And I go off looking for him in the woods, I knew that Bill was on the back of the door, but I did not know what he was doing there or how he was going to look. Sean purposely did not let me see Harry Crosby beforehand. So when I opened or closed the door to the generator shed and I screamed, that was a real serious scream. That was like from the gut. It was the first time I'd seen him, and poor Bill had the arrow through his eye. It was nasty, you know. I think that was the one and only take we took on that scene. There must have been an innocence, because I felt this way when I was shooting it. But there was an innocence among the entire crew, somehow. I know that sounds weird, but there was some kind of realism and innocence that in most horror films is slick. And I don't know if that's because we didn't have any money. It might have helped. This will put it all in perspective. It was the summer that JR got shot, okay? And Harry's sister, Mary Crosby, was on Dallas. And she was the one who shot JR, but no one knew it then. So, you know, Harry had to keep his little secret from all of us, and we're going like, did Mary shoot JR? So that was the summer.
The great thing about Friday the 13th Part 7 was it was shot during the day where everybody packed up and went on location.
Where we were shooting was truly in these camp sort of sites. And we were all young and new, and I mean, I think that was sort of the genre, is that you get these people kind of right off the bus, you know, you don't have to pay them a lot of money, they're all excited, they're all kind of young, fresh-faced, ready to go, and have energy to burn, and they're just so thankful to be there.
We ended up in Point Clear, Alabama. Why, I don't know, because it's supposed to be upstate New York, but it was absolutely beautiful. We stayed at a resort hotel that was on sort of an island on a peninsula, and it was wild. The times that we had, the parties that we had in between shooting, I think in the area are still pretty legendary.
The strangest thing, though, is that we would shoot at night. I think we had 1 week of daytime, and then it was all night shoots. So, you know, at 6 a.m. when we'd wrap, there'd be, you know, eggs, bacon, steak, and then scotch, vodka, and then so it was like a full bar with sort of all switching the time around was just so weird, and then all of a sudden having to show up for work at 6, and
You're a complete zombie for weeks, yes. And it seems like a lot of the shows I do are night shoots in all different areas, so I've kind of gotten used to it now, and then I do live show that's on at night. So, but during the time you're working really hard, and there's union rules where you have to have a break, but you're so wired from, I mean, you're running from a monster, having a ball, and then you're supposed to relax, and then be right there. But yeah, they are grueling.
So the first day, you know, we take a bus. I mean, they pick us up in a van, all the kids, Kevin and everybody, you know, to do the one shot with all the kids. And I get up there, and the wardrobe people, there were 2 girls, she had bought me a pair of boots, and they were too small. And being that we were on this little tight budget, she's walking around with my boots with three pairs of socks trying to get my boot to fit my foot. This is tight, you know? And So I put them on, and I did that scene, you know, with my tight boots. And afterwards, I said, I have to do a lot of running in this film, you know. I said, Sean, I really need boots that fit. And he goes, geez, I don't know how we're gonna do this. He goes, okay, when you go back to New York this weekend, go find a pair of boots, but make sure they're on sale.
There were a lot of memorable experiences for me. First time I saw a woman's bare breasts, Judy Aronson. And I was very excited about that. As a matter of fact, the scenes with Judy, where I was looking at her through the window and getting all excited, she wasn't actually there. So I actually never saw anything. And the other scene was when we were coming down to the lake for the first time with my sister, and we meet everybody, and you know, it's kind of startling, like, oh, what are all these kids doing here? So I was supposed to basically run down chasing my dog, and then I come down, I'm going, Gordon, Gordon, chasing the dog. And I guess Judy Aronson was supposed to like walk out of the water naked and be standing there and like, oh, hi. And I was like, oh, hi. And what are you looking at? Oh, nothing, but you look good, you know, that kind of thing. They felt that was a bit too racy. I think Frank Mancuso did. Said, yeah, it's a little bit too racy. Well, keep the kid out of it, you know. And I'd like been waiting for that scene for like, I get to see a naked woman. Wow, this is cool, you know. They decided to kind of work around that and make it so that I think in the scene I chase the dog down and she gets out of the water kind of over there somewhere. And, you know, I kind of, all right, time to go. Come on, let's go. Yeah.
We shot right on the outskirts of town, where there literally was like the Spanish moss like growing off the trees and alligators everywhere. There was a guy on set every day named Gator Man who was with a shotgun, and his job was to stand by the camera, and if by chance he should see an alligator or a crocodile or whatever hideous animal is indigenous of that area would attack, his job was to shoot them.
Gonna go for a little swim?
And I always was so happy that I didn't have Heidi Kozak's scene where she goes swimming in the water, because not only were there alligators or crocodiles in the water, we shot, I think, in the winter, and it was absolutely freezing.
I remember coming into work one morning at 7 a.m. and I mean we were there early, but I was already dressed. It was an inside set, and there was a head sitting next to me. And I'm just sitting there with my tea, and I'm like, oh, hello, head. You know, it was just so bizarre to be walking around. People have an axe in their head at lunch, and you're just like, it was just a bizarre situation.
Come on in! Oh, no, we have no suits.
Working with Crispin on that movie was, I mean, an amusement park ride. You never knew what Crispin was going to... I think Crispin never knew what Crispin was going to do. You never knew exactly what he's going to do. And I'll reveal this. I mean, Crispin may get mad at me, but I'll reveal this. Even in the casting, when Crispin came in and read for this, he tried it a couple of different ways. And I knew that Crispin would be terrific in the movie and very, very entertaining. I also knew it would be hard because you never would know what he would invent. So it would be tough on me in making the film. And, you know, it was going to be a consideration because we had to move reasonably quickly, and he'd be full of discovery, and you'd want to mine those discoveries. And I did. I talked to the producers, and I said, I really, really would like to go with this guy in this role. But I know, and I think we're going to discover terrific things, but don't count on it being exactly as it is on the page, because it won't be like that. And they weighed that and went with him, and I think it's a very, very good thing that they did. It really helped the film a lot. He energized the movie. That dance that he does, that nutty dance, that dance was something that, you know, I didn't say Crispin do a nutty dance. I mean, that's the dance that he was doing in clubs around Los Angeles at that time. That was his dance. So he brought a lot to the movie.
The one thing that's really cool about being in a Friday the 13th movie is inevitably, you know, every actor in town will be in one. And you do run into people that have been Jason's victims, and it's like this weird mind meld when you look at each other. You're like, yeah, I was in a part of motion picture history. It's like, how'd you get it? Like, always. I always thought maybe one of these days they should have like a convention where they have all of us in like one room. You know, I don't know how many there are, but it would take a pretty big room.